Joined now on the IdahoSports.com Prepcast by Bo Clark, head coach of the Malad Dragons baseball program. Coach Clark, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about your squad. You're off to an 8-0 start, a lot of early season non-district competition, but you have to be pleased with the way your team has responded right out of the gates.
Yeah, usually defense and pitching are kind of slow to start the season, but ours have been pretty good. We have had our lapses here and there, but overall, I think they've played really well.
Tell me a little bit about, because the season was essentially wiped out because of COVID-19 last year. So how many guys did you have returning from that squad 2 seasons ago?
I have my from 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Most of these guys played JV 2 seasons ago, but they were on that Legion team that ended up winning district that summer. And as you know, with Legion, we compete against all those bigger schools.
Yeah. How important was the Legion baseball season in keeping your guys together and getting reps and getting ready for the high school competition?
Very important. I think that's one of the keys on why these seniors have developed so much.
So tell us a little bit about who some of the key players have been, who stepped up in terms of leadership this year.
Leadership, they've all been pretty good about that. Peyton Briggs, he's our team captain. He's really stepped up big as far as pitching and that goes. They've all pitched pretty well. I would say that Grady Combs and Tanner Olson have probably started off pitching the best, but as well as I do, as the season goes on, other guys are going to catch fire and throw well too.
Yes, let's talk about Peyton Briggs a little bit, because he had an interesting game last week against Layton Christian from Utah. So kind of take us through what happened there with Briggs.
So we played him 2 days before that, and I'd pulled most of my seniors out in the first inning because we were kind of overwhelming them. And so I thought, I'm going to pitch a kid who doesn't pitch. And that's the first time he's pitched in high school, and he ended up throwing a perfect game.
What was the reaction like when that happened?
They didn't want to get overexcited just because, the other team that's over there that's been struggling and been 10-red 2 games in a row. But he knew the whole time that he had a perfect game going. And the players were talking about it in the dugout. And I'm old school, so I'm like, I'm not even talking to this kid, So I didn't even talk to him the whole game. But it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So how did the conversation go? So you didn't go into the game knowing that he would start on the mound pitching, did you?
No. Yeah. I knew he was going to start pitching. We were just kind of goofing around. I thought, let's not throw one of the regular pitchers. They've all got a little bit of work. Let's see if we've got somebody else in here that can throw for us, and found another guy that can throw.
Now, did you ask for a volunteer and he stepped up, or did you have Peyton?
I knew he'd thrown in travel ball years before high school. Him and my center fielder, Trayvon Ward, was going to be the next guy up. And he kept bugging me all game long. When are you going to put me in, coach? I'm like, I'm putting you in with the perfect game going.
Okay, so the question now is that an ace up your sleeve that you can use later in the season, or is Peyton Briggs going to retire from pitching?
I definitely think that's something that might come back later in the season. He's got different stuff than the other guys. He relies more on pitch movement and changing speeds. Doesn't throw as hard as the other guys, but sometimes that guy's effective.
Yeah, and did I see he tried a couple of knuckleballs in that?
Yeah, a couple of knuckleballs. They didn't do much, but
yeah, that depends on so many other elements, right? Like the wind and things like that. Okay, so let's talk about that pitching staff. How deep do you go? How deep does a team that wants?
I've got my 4 main starters from last year back, and then I've got a junior that he didn't play last year because he was recovering from a blown out knee, and he's been pretty impressive too. He pitches to contact, but he gets a lot of weak contact, quick outs.
So your junior wouldn't have been available last year anyways, recovering from injury. The season was wiped out anyways. Okay. Let's talk about hitting. How's the lineup looking?
Pretty strong top to bottom. It's cold weather, so you're not going to get a lot of bombs hit. I'm not a big on coaching for the home run ball anyway, because that's not predictable. They're a good contact hitting team, hit a lot of line drives, not afraid to go the other way.
So your team is 8-0. You've played up in terms of competition. You've played American Falls. You've played Shelley. How do you feel the level of competition has been for your team so far?
Shelley, we played them second game out, and that wasn't, I wouldn't say a not competitive team, but we beat them up, and then we played them again up in Shelley, and they did their homework, and they played us tough when we played them up there. So that was good competition. That's the most my boys have been stressed this year. I was pretty impressed with Snake River's team. We just happened to hit the ball really well that day, and our pitching held up, and we were able to finish them off. I know this game, the score was pretty lopsided, but I thought they were pretty competitive still.
How does baseball fit into that spectrum of playing larger schools? In football, it's almost impossible for a smaller team to beat a bigger team because of the numbers involved. In basketball, it's a lot easier because there's less athletes. In baseball, is it common for a 2A school to go compete with 4A, 3A clubs?
It's still a little harder. I guess it depends on the clubs you're playing and where they're at. It's hard to get games because it's kind of a lose-lose situation for the bigger teams. You don't want to lose to the smaller school, but if you beat them, you just beat a smaller school is all.
So let's talk about your district a little bit. It's a small district, which means the margin of error is thin, as it always is. But when you look at the teams in your district, how do you see the competition stacking up?
This would have been my second year coaching, but I've coached before in high school as an assistant. But hard to know because I didn't really see these guys during Legion. I was more involved with the younger Legion team, the B team last year, than the A team. I still watched them and I'm familiar with my boys, but I didn't get to see some of the other teams. I didn't get to see Asota Springs. I didn't get to see Bear Lake even. I know Culver can really coach a team up over there in Bear Lake. So it's a little bit unknown. I'm also, scoreboard watching, seeing who they've played. And how they've done against competition that we're going to face.
So last year was your first season as the head baseball coach.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me what that was like, because were you able to get any games in before the season?
We were 2-0. We'd beat American Falls and Shelley, and then got canceled.
So for an entire off season, you had a career winning percentage of 1,000.
Yeah. I was joking around all year long. I had the first undefeated season in Malad history for baseball.
That's funny. Yeah, that's. I was talking earlier this season to Kent Howell, the coach at Marsh Valley, and they're the defending 3A champs. And he said, "Well, not really, because we were 0-2 last year." So I keep reminding our guys that, hey, we haven't actually done anything yet. So
right, they've got some good ball players over there, though.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the Malad program. Do you get good turnout? Do you get the top athletes in the school coming out for baseball?
For the most part. Some of them will do track. We've got one kid doing both. One of our freshmen's doing both. I think for the most part, Malad's kind of skewed the direction of being a baseball school. Used to be a track school in the spring.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know the baseball program has had some nice seasons recently. So tell me a little bit about the schedule moving forward. Obviously, you have all your district games coming up still, but
correct.
Are there non-conference opponents that you're excited to see as well?
Yeah, well, I'm a Preston boy originally, and so we play them next week. And then we head off to the Glens Ferry tournament, and then I'm excited to go play in Preston when I get to go there. I don't know if any of my old high school chums are going to be there, but it's always fun to go home.
That'll be exciting for sure. Now, that Glens Ferry tournament, that's a wood bat tournament, correct?
Yes.
Now, do you play with wood bats throughout the regular season, or is it aluminum?
I have 2 or 3 hitters that actually choose to use wood. The rest of them do aluminum. I don't really care. It's whatever they're comfortable with.
And in terms of the competition, are you going to see a lot of good 2A programs from the other districts at that Glens Ferry tournament?
Yeah, I'm excited to see some other teams. I know we're facing, I think right off the bat, we're facing Grangeville. They've got a good program. And then Declo. Get to see Glens Ferry and Wendell also.
Yeah, you talked about scoreboard watching a little bit within your district. Are you also keeping an eye on statewide? Grangeville's off to a great start. Obviously, North Orofino looks good. Are you looking at some of the other teams around the state, keeping an eye on them?
You kind of have to. If you're not doing your homework, then you're kind of letting the boys down.
Sure. What are goals that you've set for your team this year?
Um, I tell them this all the time. Yeah, I want to win every game, but I'm, being brand new as a head coach, I'm trying to manage the team so that I can win in May rather than win in March. So that is a goal. Obviously, a district championship. Obviously doing well at state, especially when state's in Pocatello, and it's about as close as it's going to get to home.
Yeah. How exciting is that? Because Pocatello traditionally isn't one of the sites where state baseball is held.
Well, I think it's good. When I first came to town, it was either at Napa Christian every year or Orofino, and I think it's good that they're kind of spreading it around.
Teams from the east don't have to travel as much, for sure.
Yeah, and then those teams that are good, out there in those areas, don't always have a home field advantage on you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked about managing style now is going to be you're trying to set yourself up for success in May. Does that mean pitching wise using your
Yeah. So what it means is I really haven't, that first couple weeks of the season, I was trying to get every pitcher in and get them work rather than extend guys. And now I'm trying to get a little bit of length out of my pitchers so that as the season goes on, they can last longer in games.
and despite that different style of managing, that different game plan, still haven't lost yet. So that has to be encouraging as well.
But yeah, I think you have to credit a couple of things. The boys, they're 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 really pretty good. My six seniors, I lean on them a lot. They're very experienced players. In fact, I say all the time, they're probably, if it wasn't a COVID year and recruiting wasn't down this year, they could probably all find somewhere to play next year. But being a COVID year, they're not looking for as many position players in this general area for the junior colleges and the smaller schools. But I also got a pretty good coaching staff. Garen Atkinson is the Legion A coach, and he's one of my assistants. Josh Jensen, he was on the last two state championship teams from Lad. He was their catcher. He's helping us. Ty Price, he's our girls basketball coach, but he coached JV out in Weiser before he came here, and then Billy Peabody, he's kind of been on all the last three coaching staffs, and it's good to have a guy like that.
Yeah, every coach will tell you you want an assistant coach who's been a head coach somewhere else, some other program. That must be a nice dynamic to go into the summertime where you have your assistant take over the A program, where they get a break from you, so to speak.
Well, let's not say he's taking it over because he was coaching that before I started coaching high school. So I'm
Right.
kind of taking over for him.
Right. It's nice to get that different perspective.
Right.
Once you get to Legion ball, how do all of your guys that play high school? Do they all play Legion ball as well?
They have. I don't know what this year is going to be like because they're all the seniors are all graduating. So they might be too busy with jobs or getting ready to go off to school or missions. Have a lot of kids that go on missions. So the underclassmen have stepped it up a lot. My three juniors have done really well. I've got 5 sophomores and 4 of them have a lot of experience. In fact, I've got a lot of sibling combinations on the team, believe it or not.
Oh, really? Yeah. Can you name them all off?
So yeah, Traven and Jaden Ward, they're easy. They're my next door neighbors. Gaden and Grady Combs, they live across the street. The Evans brothers, John and Vinny, and then you got the Briggs brothers, Peyton and Chase.
Wow. So that adds a dynamic, certainly.
Yeah, and then also there's cousins and stuff like that on the team too. But it's Malad, everybody's a cousin.
You're right. Small town athletics.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, Bo Clark, head coach of the Malad Dragons, will certainly be keeping an eye on your team as the season progresses. And hopefully we're sitting down talking a little bit later on in the season as you're getting ready for a deep postseason run.
Hey, fantastic.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.